Hello, today is Rosh Chodesh Sivan. It's my birthday, and I want to bless everyone listening to this with a year of good health and wealth and a lot of revealed good in your lives for everything that you want, everything that you need, for parnasa, for having money, having children, having love, having a shidduch, having shalom bait, and a lot of nachas from children and grandchildren and weddings for whoever needs a wedding, and everything that you need, you should have what you need. That's my blessing to you. And of course, the biggest blessing, which is Mashiach. So this Maamer that I'm going to do this evening for my birthday is about Mashiach. It's about the Olam Haba, the world to come. And there's a pasuk, a famous pasuk, Kol Yisrael yesh lem chelek laolam haba. Every Jew has a portion in the world to come. And this is a Mishnah from Sanhedrin, from the tractate Sanhedrin. It's very famous because we read it before every week when we do Pirkei Avot. This is the first thing we say as an introduction to that week's chapter of Pirkei Avot. We say, Kol Yisrael yesh lem chelek laolam haba. Every Jew has a portion in the world to come. So the question is, what does that mean? Because later in Pirkei Avot, there's another Mishnah in chapter 3, which it says, Rabbi Elazar Hamodai taught, someone who treats holy things without respect, or who treats Yamim Tovim, the festivals, as if they were weekdays, or who shames another person in public, or who denies the holiness of the mitzvah of bris milah, circumcision, that Hashem taught to Avram Avinu, or explains the Torah in a way that is against halacha, even if he has Torah knowledge and good deeds, that person has no share in the world to come. En lo chelek laolam haba. That person has no chelek, no share in the world to come. Wait a minute, didn't we read at the beginning of that chapter, Kol Yisrael yesh lem chelek laolam haba? Every Jew has a share in the world to come. So this Maamer that I'm going to be describing is from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, given in 1973. And it talks about, what does it mean, the world to come, Olam Haba? So we generally think that the Olam Haba, the world to come, is when we leave this physical world. Then we pass to the next world. That's also called Gan Eden. But there's another meaning of Olam Haba, and that is the time of Tchiyat Hamitim, the resurrection of the dead. That will be the later stage, the ultimate stage of the coming of Mashiach, is when all of the Jews of all the generations who had passed on will actually be revived into bodies, and they will join us again in this world, and death will cease from the world. There will be no more death. That's what we're looking forward to. So the Rebbe says that if we continue in the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, it continues to say, "Ve'elu she'en lehem chelek la'olam haba, ha'omer en tchiyat hamitim min haTorah." So who could it be that would not have a chelek, the portion in the world to come? It would be those who deny that there is resurrection of the dead, according to the Torah. So the Rebbe says this is a clear proof that the Olam Haba that we're talking about is the resurrection of the dead. It's not talking about Gan Eden, heaven, going to heaven, but it's actually talking about that ultimate time of Tchiyat HaMetim. So this is very interesting, that the ultimate time, every single Jew would have a portion there, but perhaps not every single Jew would have a portion in Gan Eden. So we know that with Gan Eden, to enter Gan Eden, to go into heaven after your life on this world, well, you had to do a lot of mitzvahs and learn a lot of Torah, and we're told that that's a reward for all the good things that you do, and that there's a lot of restrictions. So like we heard in the Mishnah over there about the people who maybe have Torah study and good deeds, but they did all these sins like shaming another person in public, etc. They wouldn't be able to go into Olam Haba, which probably means Gan Eden in that context. Now in Gan Eden, in Gan Eden, this is a place where the souls go after 120 years, when they pass on from this world. So why then would a soul ever want to come back and be in a body in this world? Like, what would be the point? You've done your time in this world. It's not an easy place. It's really distracting, and we're really distracted by the physicality of the world. There's so many things that would take us away from Torah and mitzvahs and spirituality. It seems like, Gan Eden seems like a pretty good place. Why would we want to come back here to this world? Like, why? So there's a classic work by the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, that he wrote a classic work called Derech Hashem. And in this, he discusses what was the whole point of the creation of the world, and why did a soul have to come down into a body to begin with, and what will be the ultimate completion, the ultimate point of creating the world. And he discusses very explicitly that the ultimate goal is that one day there will be this time called Tchiyat HaMetim, the resurrection of the dead, when the soul will rejoin the body, and that the soul currently has one focus, which is spiritual, and the body has one focus, which is physical. And if they work together very nicely in this world, they can earn a lot of reward for themselves, but that at one point they have to separate, and the soul will go into the soul world of Gan Eden, and the body will go back into the physical world in the dust. And that one day, when Hashem has deemed that all the work has been completed, he will put them together again. And that's when they'll get the ultimate reward. Okay? So that seems a little strange. That seems strange. Like, how can that be that the ultimate reward will come when a soul re-enters the body? I mean, the souls that go to Gan Eden, the whole idea of the souls in Gan Eden is that they are enjoying a reward. Also in Pirkei Avot, it tells us that 1 hour of the enjoyment of the soul, the korat ruach of the soul, is greater than any reward or any pleasure we could have in this world. Okay, just 1 hour is greater than all the things that we could possibly get in this world. And you were also told that 1 hour of doing good deeds in this world, just 1 hour, is worth all of the life of the world to come. So there's something about this doing good deeds in this world that somehow it equates in some way, shape, or form with this extreme pleasure, this spiritual pleasure that the soul will enjoy in Gan Eden. So let's understand that. The Rebbe takes it further, and he said, let's understand this by taking up a pasuk from Parshat Chukat that says Zot HaTorah Adam. Okay, and then it goes on to say more. This is the Torah, man. So he says, Zot HaTorah Adam. This is the Torah, man. Torah and man, they're like each other. There's a similarity there. All right, so we know that a man has a physical body and a soul. And the Torah has two aspects also. It has Torah study and it has doing mitzvahs. And the Torah study is like the soul, and the mitzvahs are like the body. So explaining that a little bit more, that Torah study is like a soul. Why is the Torah study the soul? Because it's not so limited by time and space. Just like a soul, the way we envision it, is something which is very spiritual. It doesn't really exist here in time and space. It's not really limited by time and space like the body is. And the Torah is also like that, because Torah can be studied about any subject, about any mitzvah. And we're told that we're given credit for Torah study that we do of some mitzvah. For example, let's say the service of the Kohanim in the Beit HaMikdash, the service of the priests that they do in the Holy Temple. For example, bringing the incense or lighting the menorah or bringing a sacrifice. We can study about it. And you know what? When we're studying about it, we are transported there. We can imagine it. We can feel it. We can get down into the nitty-gritty details, and we're given credit as if we actually did it, even though we're not Kohanim. We're not in the Beit HaMikdash. It's not really happening. But we can transport ourselves there through Torah study. However, you know what? Even though we can transport ourselves and we can imagine and we can feel and we can even get credit, it's really not it. We're really not doing it. Whereas a mitzvah is a physical action, okay? The mitzvah is like the body. It's defined. It's in space, it's in time, but it's happening. It's actually happening. There's nothing greater than that. I can think and imagine and dream and study all I want. But when I do a mitzvah, it's happened. That's why they say, Hamaaseh hu ha'ikar. The deed is the main thing. Why is that? Isn't it enough to be just like the souls, where we study and dream and feel and connect spiritually? Well, it's not, because that's not what Hashem wanted. Why did Hashem create this world? So we say that the Torah study is like Hashem's chokhmah, his wisdom. That's very much expressing Hashem's thoughts, his wisdom. Just like, me, I'm full of thoughts. Hopefully I'm full of some wisdom too. But I'm full of thinking and intellect, right? But Hashem has something even higher than that. And that's his desire, his ratzon, what he wants. Okay, I might want chocolate ice cream and not vanilla ice cream. Is there any wisdom to that? No, but it's what I want. It's just who I am. Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla, all different kinds of things that I like that somebody else doesn't like. It's who I am. So that definition of who I am, it's more than my wisdom. What I want, if you give me chocolate ice cream, I'll be happy. If you give me vanilla and you try to convince me that it's good and that I should like it, it's not what I want. So it's the same with the mitzvahs. That's what Hashem wants. He has given us the Torah so that we can understand, we can discover what he wants, and then we can do it, and then we can make him happy. And when we make him happy, we connect to him, and then he gives us all of his goodness by being just close to him, by doing what he wants. And that gives us pleasure. So the Torah study is Hashem's wisdom. The mitzvahs are his desire. The Torah study is like a soul. The mitzvahs are like a body. Now, when we look at a Jewish soul and a Jewish body, okay, so we're told by our sages that the Jewish soul is a chelek Eloka mima'al mamash. It is an actual part of God above. That's what my soul is, my Jewish soul. what about my body? What's that? So a Jewish body on the surface, it looks just like a non-Jewish body. You know, you've got the two eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, the hair, hands, feet. Everything's the same. So Hashem actually had to choose the Jewish body. He handpicked, he chose, I want this one, and I want this one, and I want this one. He chose the bodies. So therefore, the source of the Jewish body is Hashem's desire, his ratzon, his choice, his free choice. Jewish and non-Jewish bodies, they look about the same, but he chose the Jewish body. So therefore, the source of a Jewish body is actually much higher than the source of a Jewish soul, which has an intrinsic connection. It's an intrinsic part of Hashem. It's not a choice. It's just who he is. My body is Hashem's choice. He picked my body. So that's why, actually, that a soul can come down into a body, because actually the body is higher than the soul. So in a sense, the soul is not really going down. It's going into something which is higher than it, and it will give life and it will serve that body. But its job also is to refine the body. So the soul gets the body to do mitzvahs, and that in turn refines the body. The soul is perfect. The soul comes down a perfect part of Hashem above. The soul wants to do so much, but it's given a difficult task. So when the soul is able to motivate the body to do mitzvahs, then that refines the body. So why would it be that we say that every Jew, Kol Yisrael, Yesh Lam Chelek Le'olam Haba? Why would it be that every Jew has a part in the world to come? Shouldn't it be only the Jews who actually did the mitzvahs? I mean, like in Gan Eden, you get a higher place if you did Torah study, and then you can move even higher through Gan Eden because of your Torah study and your mitzvahs that you did. Why not in the time of the resurrection of the dead? Why shouldn't it be only the Jews that did all the mitzvahs should merit that? Lama? Why should it be Kol Yisrael, all the Jews? So this relates also to the superiority of the body over the soul, and also the superiority of mitzvahs over Torah. So we know that every Jew has an equal obligation to do all the mitzvahs that we can do in this world. So we all have to keep kosher. We all have to keep Shabbos. If you're a man, you have to put on tefillin. If you're a woman, you have to light candles for Shabbos. All those obligations are the same, whether we learned a lot of Torah or we didn't. Whereas our Torah study is going to be very dependent on our intellectual faculties. I mean, let's face it, some Torah study is very difficult to understand. So the soul is sort of universal, the mitzvahs are sort of universal, whereas Torah study is more individualized. Okay, so every Jew is equally obligated. Kol Yisrael. Everybody has to do the mitzvahs. We can't say, well, he learned more Torah study, so he has to keep kosher, but the one who didn't, he doesn't really have to keep kosher. No, it's not that. It's not the case. Now, the truth is, if somebody didn't learn about kosher, etc., well, then they don't know yet. Doesn't mean they're not supposed to keep the mitzvahs. They are. So that's why we should try to get involved to try to educate them and help them to learn about the mitzvahs and do them. But we all have an equal obligation. Now, as far as Torah study goes, some people are going to grasp it more, and they are going to put more effort and more time, whereas other people, their lot in this world is to go out, be engaged in business, etc. They can learn a chapter of Torah in the morning, a chapter of Torah in the evening, and then they've fulfilled the obligation. So mitzvah observance is universal, Kol Yisrael, every Jew. Torah study should be done by every Jew, but not on the same level. So, when we get to the idea of the Tchiyat HaMitim, that the resurrection of the dead, maybe every Jew did not do all the mitzvahs, but there is a saying that says, Afilu Poshe Yisrael Meleim Mitzvot Karimon. Every Jew, even the sinners of the Jewish people, are as full of mitzvahs as a pomegranate is full of seeds. So, and we know there's 613 seeds in a pomegranate. What does that mean? You know, what it means is that this world is a tough place. This world, there's a lot of distractions, a lot of things that will take us off and away from Torah observance. But every Jew wants to do what Hashem wants. Every Jew, at their core, they want to perform all the mitzvahs. It's just things happen in this world that cover that up. It's like having a gold coin. Now, that gold coin, even if I stick it in the mud and I step on it and I cover it over, does that mean it's not a gold coin? It is. It's still a gold coin. All I have to do is clean it off. In the time of Tchiyat HaMitim, the resurrection of the dead, the bodies will be purified. They'll be clean. Every Jew is that gold coin. And in the time of Tchiyat HaMitim, every Jew will now have a purified body. And when the soul comes into the body, and this body is going to be something amazing, something beautiful, something magnificent. Every Jew, when their soul comes into that magnificent, perfected body, the soul will immediately be able to add radiance and purity to the body. The body will be directed in its actions by the soul, not by all the physical desires that we have now. Those won't be there. The only desire will be to fulfill the will of Hashem, to fulfill Hashem's ratzon. And who can do that better than a body? Like we said before, a soul, even with all the korat ruach, with all the spiritual pleasure they get in Gan Eden, they can't do even the same accomplishments as 1 hour of Torah study and good deeds in this world. So the souls will now be in a body which is there to do what? To fulfill the will of the Creator. This will be an amazing time. This will be the ultimate purpose of creation. When we fulfill the will of our Creator, we will draw so close to Him that we will get from Him all of this incredible nourishment and this incredible revelation and this incredible goodness, this incredible pleasure. We'll get all the spiritual pleasure that the soul gets in Gan Eden. Plus, we'll get the physical pleasure of performing the mitzvahs and all of the wonderful physical sensations of joy and you know, the tingling that comes from physical happiness and pleasure. We'll get it all from serving Hashem, and He will just be giving us all of this in the time of the Tchiyat HaMitim. So this is the idea of Kol Yisrael Yesh Lahem Chelek Le'olam Haba, that we will all be able to finally, with full enthusiasm and full engagement, be able to fulfill the will of our Creator. So it's time to start now. Now we know how amazing it is to do a mitzvah and how amazing it is to do Torah study, which leads us to do a mitzvah. And therefore, let's get busy learning Torah and doing mitzvahs with joy, with enthusiasm, with the knowledge that we're fulfilling the will of our Creator and that He's going to give us only good. And may it be that through our mitzvahs and our Torah study, we should merit to have the coming of Mashiach and all of our loved ones from all of the generations come and join us again in this world in the perfected bodies at the time of the Tchiyat HaMetim, the resurrection of the dead, and should be immediately. So good Chodesh, and wishing you upcoming a good Shabbos and the holiday of Shavuos, that we should have Kabbalat HaTorah besimcha ubepenimiyut. You should receive the Torah with joy and inward inspiration. Take care.